Good to Great by Jim Collins. This book is a sequel to the 2001 groundbreaker Built to Last. It's so well known across Silicon Valley and Seattle. Many books about the histories of their most well-respected companies have cited its concepts such as the Hedgehog and the Flywheel effect. From Basenomics to Trillion Dollar Coach, these concepts are so timeless and exponential growth oriented, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about them. Aside from this, maybe you've heard about either book. How are they different? How are they similar? In Built to Last, in my review of that book, I argued that some of the large companies that Collins talks about, they have been thwarted from further growth's continuity by other much more recent tech startups who haven't slowed down in the slightest since, and they might very well last longer than Ford, Hewlett-Packard, Walmart, or any of the other companies that they analyzed in that book. But does that factor into Good to Great? I mean, it's not the same book, it's not the same companies. This book was published 7 years after Built to Last, if that means anything. But I guess we'll see. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up, it should just be mainstream knowledge, then please make sure to smash that like button. In this video, I'm going to talk about the book. I'm going to talk about my thoughts on it, things I learned, things that surprised me. I'm also going to go over some standout quotes from the book, who I recommend this book to, as well as what books to maybe check out next. What they did with this book was they found companies that showed 15-year cumulative stock returns at or below the general market, punctuated by a transition point, and then cumulative returns at least 3 times more than the market over the next 15 years. Good to great, results, and fast. They picked 15 years because it's enough to transcend one-hit wonders or lucky breaks, and 3 times the market because it exceeds the length of the most widely acknowledged great companies in general. Basically, for anyone who heard all that and they're like, whatever suits you, what they did was they basically took a bunch of companies who blew up completely over the span of 30 years. And in this book, they're going to talk about what those companies have in common. They found 11 companies over the span of 1965 to 1995. Granted, these companies are in totally different markets. Walgreens beat Intel, and Colgate, the toothpaste company, beat Coca-Cola. Who knew? And they also compared the 11 companies with similar ones that did well, but not quite as well in that span of time. I don't remember if it was 11 companies in Built to Last, but they did the same thing with that book too. There are 5 levels of leadership under Collins' criteria. I don't think he was that specific about what each one was, but obviously level 5 is the highest. There's a chapter about what level 5 leadership comprises of. A couple ideas, just so you know, the level 5 leaders were completely obsessed with their teams. In speeches and letters to shareholders, they used the word we disproportionately, so disproportionately more than the word I. A lot of them are quiet. They have a sheer workmanlike diligence, and they care a lot about what the company is going to be like when they're gone. The next chapter, First Who, Then What. This one, it's interesting. It seems counterintuitive upon first hearing. The idea is before you figure out what you're going to do in your business and with your business, figure out who you're going to do it with. Do that first. It's the simplest rule ever, but it requires a lot of discipline. Not to mention, like, what if you've already found half your team, but you're looking for the rest? What's everyone who's already with you, what are they supposed to do? I guess look for more people? Also, like, what kind of vision are you trying to sell? So it sounds really, really unconventional, but people before strategy, right? Here's one part that stood out in this chapter about how disciplined you have to be to follow this rule. David Maxwell held off on putting together a strategy until he got the right people in place while the company was losing $1 million every single business day with $56 billion in loans underwater. Would you have the discipline to wait to set your strategy until you have the right people in place if you were losing $1 million a business day with $56 billion of mortgage loan underwater? The following chapter, Confront the Brutal Facts. This was a much more motivational chapter, but this is not like those business books that are like super motivational speakery. Oh my gosh, make sure you believe in your dream and never give up on your plans and your goals to make sure things happen. Underneath the message of confronting the brutal facts your first reactions tell you to ignore, there seemed to be this idea of keeping your finger on the pulse of the future, which was interesting. Both Kroger and A&P, who I don't think I'd ever heard of, they had the same information. Kroger's like I don't know if they have Kroger. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I don't know if they have Kroger's here. Kroger, I'm pretty sure, is like the most well-known like grocery store chain in America or something. During that whole 30-year period, they both had the same information. They're both giant stores. They were both old, and they both knew the same things about their operation and their data. And Kroger just happened to take more advantage of it all. And in this chapter, they explain a lot about why. The next chapter, the Hedgehog Concept, is one of my favorites. The Hedgehog is where you basically take one complicated concept and just reduce it to the simplest thing ever. All the good to great companies attained a very simple concept that they used as a frame of reference for all their decisions, but just because it's simple doesn't mean it's right. By the way, the ratio that they found, all of them, all 11 companies, they all found the same exact kind of ratio on how to effectively sustain robust cash flow and profitability is profit per X. That's how simple it is. It's 3 words. Just 3. Wells Fargo wanted to be just like Citicorp. Ooh, I hadn't heard of Citicorp either, I don't think. They couldn't. So they just decided to run their bank like a business with a focus on the Western United States. That's all they did. That's what they could do best. They could just focus on running their bank like a business with a focus on the Western United States. And that is what exploded their growth. It is so simple. But in case I didn't mention already, this book is much more about startups and companies that are just not already really well established. It's much more about scaling and fast growth than sustained growth and upkept economic engine health. The next chapter, Culture of Discipline, this was probably like my least favorite because, I mean, he told stories of discipline within executives way more than within cultures. But I also can't help thinking that a reason for this is that he was trying to maybe say that one of them leads to the other. My favorite idea from technology accelerators is the whole crawl, walk, run company. You see, with unforeseen new technologies, every great company of the last 100 years, they've taken advantage. But the best ones, over time, they will just adapt and adapt and adapt. It's not even what they do that made the biggest difference because everyone's doing things all the time. It's about what they thought. I mean, there are people who say that what you do is all that matters. Yeah, but there's just something different about this when you're relying on objects that have the ability to do things themselves. This is becoming like a super conscious age. History seems to show that it's always been like this, but oh my gosh, is it more like this than ever? It's the type of age where like the more you can figure out how to do with what you know already, the better. I'm gonna say that again. The more you can figure out how to do with what you know already, the better. The next one, the Flywheel, is without question one of the most legendary, well-known business concepts uncovered in the digital age. The Flywheel effect brought us Amazon. Okay, you will not come across, and I've looked for them and I'm gonna keep looking for them, any book about Amazon or Jeff Bezos without hearing something about the Flywheel effect, which came from this book. And again, I might make a video about it, but the Flywheel effect, it's basically about exponential growth. It's named after a massive wheel made out of steel. It weighs like 5,000 pounds or something like that, and it's very hard to turn. But once you start turning it, it gets easier and easier, and it's all about momentum. Once you get it to some point, it might become unstoppable. From time to time, Colin really stressed in this chapter, there is never going to be one big hit that gets you where you want to be. The way I see it, at least, that next big hit is only going to get you somewhere further than you are. It's literally impossible to determine where that somewhere is. With YouTube channel growth, this is something I like to call a virality wave. It's when you put out a video that will take like your daily views and AdSense revenue, it'll take them to like a different algorithm tier. Over the last few years, I had a couple big ones. I never talk about this in my reviews just because it was a video that was not a review. I made a video once about Tinder Plus and it got over 20,000 views. I think it's my most viewed video on the whole channel and I have like over 500 videos. It was just the right topic at the right time at the right place. And of course my most viewed video, like, I'm proud of it, but I'm also kind of embarrassed about it in a sense because, like, of course, my most viewed video, fourfold, without the help of an influencer's repost or 10, is about Tinder and not a book, but I digress. I will say, though, that it would have been way better for me and my channel shortly after to make like 6 or more videos after that one about Tinder and Tinder Plus and my experiences with them, but you gotta keep riding on those. When you have a lot of success with one video, you really need to start making a lot of videos about that exact same topic. When a big YouTuber puts out a video that blows their other ones out of the water in terms of how fast the views accumulate and everything, if they're smart, as quickly as they can, they will follow that video up with another one about the same thing, because it will keep 2 eyeballs long enough to turn them into 4. The last chapter, From Good to Great to Built to Last, simply put, it's beautiful. He said that enduring great companies don't exist merely to just deliver to shareholders. To a truly great company, profits and cash flow, they become like water and blood to a healthy body. You know what I mean? They're not the point of life. They're just essential for life. I love that. And then the epilogue, it answers questions about good to great, like why did they pick 11 companies? What is the reasoning behind their criteria? Why aren't any of them technology companies? Just stuff like that. This was like a golden quality book. Without question, a modern business classic. A total modern business classic. Unless there was anything weird about it that I mentioned earlier that I don't remember. Can't think of anything I'd change about this one. Quotes. You can accomplish anything in life provided you do not mind who gets the credit. I never stopped trying to be qualified for the job. If you have cancer in your arm, you have to have the guts to cut off your own arm. The only way to deliver to the people who are achieving is to not burden them with the people who are not achieving. The key is to not have better information, but to turn information into information that cannot be ignored. Technology is an accelerator, not a creator of momentum. We've allowed the way transitions look from the outside to drive our perception of what they must feel like to those going through them on the inside. It's no harder to build something great than to build something good. Direction 1. I recommend this book for anyone in business who feels like what he or she is doing is a waste of time and or energy. Direction 2. If you like this book, hands down, built to last, check it out. For more information on startups in the digital age, I think you'd really like 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. Good to Great by Jim Collins. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.